Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. And the South Africa A team has just been announced to take on Bristol Bears this Thursday. And should be an absolutely epic clash. Quite a few changes as well. And the first ever senior start at fly half for Sasha FEINBERG-MNGOMEZULU. But into the SAA side, into the starting lineup, and in at 10. He's only ever played at 12 at this sort of level, for the Stormers. And the last time he played 10 was actually for the SA under-20s. But he does start at 10 in one of quite a few changes to the squad, going with a 6-2 split as well, which I think sort of really does play to the strengths of the squad. And they need a much more improved performance, and quite a few players being rewarded for their form off the bench, and a couple of players dropped out of the 23. So, we wait to hear what the explanation is. Before we look at the team, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. In terms of the lineup, this is how we will be lining up. Now, there are a few changes. First of all, in the front row, Thomas Toye will continue to captain the side. However, they do have a new hooker starting, with Andre Hugo Venter being given an opportunity next to Intuku Nkunu and Thomas Toye. It's the same lock combination that took on Munster last week with Jason Jenkins and Ruan Nokia. However, Marco van Staden, who, again, we didn't actually know if he was actually even on tour, he does start in that loose trio next to Albert Lowe, Jean-Luc Dupré. So coming in for Pepsi Buthelezi, in what is probably a much well-rounded and a much more balanced loose trio. Then Grant Williams, after a very impressive cameo off the bench, comes into the starting lineup next to Sasha FEINBERG-MNGOMEZULU. It should be a very exciting halfback pairing. The rest of the backline is the same, except Gianni Lombard has come into the side at full back. As a result, Johan Goosen has dropped down to the bench. The 6-2 split is JJ Kotze coming in, no Joe Streber in the 23 for this week. Superior Mantanzima, Mornay Smith, the two props there. Mornay Smith coming in for Sally Sunday. Dan Dupré, Sikamozu Noche on the bench as well, as same as last week. But Pepsi Buthelezi just drop in there as well. So, we've got a lot of options for forwards off the bench. And I thought Sikamozu Noche was a very impressive coming off the bench last week. Sneddon Nahamba starts in, is there on the bench as a scrum off and fly half potential replacement, but more into the traditional scrum off replacement. Johan Goosen as utility back covers 10, 15. You've got FEINBERG-MNGOMEZULU can go into 12, Johnny Lombard can go into centre as well. So it's a very easy 6-2 split to manage because there are so many players. But yeah, Leland Zassin and Hartzenberg still starting, Cornel Hendricks, Henk van Beek still starting, and hopefully we'll see a much improved performance. This side has now been together for another week. They've obviously trained probably on Saturday, potentially Sunday. They will have trained today. They'll train tomorrow as well. So it's got one more time for them to really sort of kick into gear. Even though somebody like, for example, FEINBERG-MNGOMEZULU will only have had sort of 2 training sessions with them, the rest of the side will have definitely had a lot of time to brush up on the defensive patterns, for example, something which you could see they were struggling to sort of get used to. And they've got to put an improved performance. I think a lot of people don't really mind the result as much, and I think it was the same as last week. I don't think people would have mind the result. It was the performance with it. Not only did we lose, we didn't play well. And that's kind of becoming a bit of an issue. And I think when it comes to an SAA squad, there is a lot, for me, there's a lot of justification for them not necessarily gelling, because the RSI have been thrown together. And they're also, unlike a Barbarian side, they're not really necessarily coached to win. They're more sort of coached to try and implement the game plan and the style of the Springboks, which is one that takes a long time to get used to. And the whole idea of this SAA side is to give these players opportunities in game time within a Springbok setup, so that if there are injuries or when they're ready, for example, they can then fit into a Springbok team a lot easier than they would if they were coming in completely fresh off the back. So that is the purpose of this. That is why it will take a couple of matches, and it'll take a bit of time for these players to get used to the system. But we do need to see improvement. We've got to see a much better performance this weekend. We need to see a better defensive performance. I'd like us to see what is a very exciting backline running the hats. And MNGOMEZULU, Hendricks, Lombard, there's a lot of good players there that can get this backline going. Get Henk van Beek involved, get Cinnamon Hartzenberg and Leland Zass involved. I think it's a very nice pack. I think that pack should be able to give us a good platform. Marco van Staden should be very good at the breakdown, so that'll be a big boost to the SAA side. It's a very good side. I think it's a very balanced side, probably a bit more balanced side than last week, for example. A couple of clues is, for example, Marco van Staden, we didn't even know he was around, but interesting that he's come into the SAA side and not gone into the Springbok side where he was supposed to. And obviously none of these players will be involved against Italy, so which we didn't expect too many of these players to be involved, to be fair. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the team down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.